More than 2 million people live in Gaza, and most have nothing to do with the Hamas attack. Most want to live in peace, and yet they too are suffering. And the humanitarian crisis they're in is about to turn into a humanitarian catastrophe. On Thursday, I talked to Salah ad-Din Maksud, Executive Director of the Council of American Islamic Relations in New Jersey. We talked a lot about the quest for peace and what this week was like.
We have, so many people calling our office, not only calling for help, but also telling us stories about how they have family that they've lost overseas. We have a local imam here in North New Jersey who actually lost 15 of his own family members in Gaza. But we continue to amplify our community's message and to defend their civil rights and make sure that we are heard. Our job at CAIR is to be a voice for the community. And that's what we're doing. We're hoping to offer our perspective, whether it's to our elected officials or it's to media or it's to our friends and family. We want to make sure that we understand that there is a bigger picture happening here. That's what we're doing.
Let me ask you this. I understand and I appreciate what you're saying, because I think most people who are watching this broadcast, I think most people who watch our television station here and all the news that we produce every day understand that this is painful for so many people. Listen, there have been very few times when there's been peace in the Middle East. This is the worst of it that most people have ever seen. The last big attack it's 50 years ago, but for most people of a certain age, this is it. This is what they remember about this, and it is heartbreaking. The Hamas attack, and I know what you feel about this. It was horrible. It was horrible. But killing at all is a horrible thing. And when does it end? And I think that's what people are thinking about tonight. I hope it's what you're thinking about. I know it is. And
I know, and I couldn't agree more. And of course, this is, we're all mourning. Yeah. And these attacks are ones that we don't want to see. And, we're speaking, you mentioned that we haven't seen such violence in a long time. And you're right, at this scale, we haven't. But we often forget that indigenous Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank experience violence on a daily basis. And that is the greater context to this story. Many of us have forgotten that Hamas didn't just wake up one day and decide to launch this attack. Gazans have been locked in this strip through land, air, and sea by the Israeli government, pushing them to the edge. So this violence is the status quo for so many Palestinians living in the West Bank and Gaza.
Call me naive, but I'm hoping that it's not going to be an invasion like that. And I'm hoping that it's there as a threat, and all of a sudden, perhaps, there can be some talks of peace and some negotiation to stop all this violent insanity on both sides.
We truly pray and hope that the violence comes to an end. We want there to be no longer any suffering. The stories that we're hearing are tormenting, and people are losing family, both here in New Jersey. The stories that we're hearing are sad, and on both sides. But what we're forgetting is these tanks that you speak about. These things didn't just happen overnight. We continue to look back at the history where Palestinians have faced this occupation for over 70 years. Yeah. This is a story that spans 75 years. And we need to understand that history if we really want to understand what's happening today in Palestine. Why is Hamas responding this way? Why are Palestinians struggling? And we firmly believe, and we've issued our statements, that peace, we all want peace. We are all begging for peace, in fact. But in order to see peace, we must first see justice. And the only just solution to the crisis here is an end to the occupation of the Palestinian territories.
War is not healthy for children and other living things. We'll talk to our political team next.